Hello and welcome to the new session on fluid mechanics. As we have already discussed about the pressure and its measurement, a few topics on pressure and its measurement such as Pascal's law and hydrostatic law. We are now bound to move towards the next topic, that is purely about measurement. We have learnt about pressure and now we are about to learn about its measurement. But between learning about pressure and its measurement, you have to know what are the types of pressure we have. So, to begin today's class, I will deal with the types of pressure. Types of pressure. Types of pressure. Which are the types of pressure that we actually come across regularly? See, you might have learnt about the blood pressure, because many patients are suffering from BP. You will always know what do you mean by blood pressure. So, how do we measure that blood pressure? If you have observed in the hospitals, there will be a measuring meter for pressure and the blood pressure will be measured using that instrument. Now, what is that pressure actually? What is that pressure that you are getting from understanding what BP is? Now, for which you need a clear picture of what are the types of pressures we have. Now, if you observe carefully, everywhere we are surrounded by air. That air itself is exerting certain pressure on the surface of the body. Surface of, in fact, all the bodies that are in contact with air. So, each and every body that is in contact with the air is exerted by certain pressure by the air. So, what do we have surrounding us? We call it as atmosphere. So, whatever is the pressure exerted by the atmospheric air on the surfaces is called atmospheric pressure. So, now atmospheric pressure, we are actually not feeling the atmospheric pressure at all. We are not feeling the pressure that is generated by atmospheric air on the body, and hence for all purposes of measurement, atmospheric pressure is considered as 0. But having said that, atmospheric pressure has a value. That atmospheric pressure can be measured only using an instrument called barometer, and hence it is also called barometric pressure. So, when you measure the pressure of the air surrounding you, the pressure is given as 101.3 kilopascal. Pascal is nothing but Newton per meter square. So, it is 101.3 kilonewton per meter square or kilopascals. This is the actual pressure of the atmospheric air, which we will not actually feel. So, any pressure above it, that is what we feel, or below it, that is what we actually feel. So, atmospheric pressure is taken as a datum, and whatever is the pressure you have below atmospheric pressure is called vacuum pressure, and the above it is called positive gauge pressure. Then how far below can you go below the atmospheric pressure? You can keep going until you reach vacuum, until you reach absolute vacuum, and that point is called absolute zero. I will show you, I will indicate them on a chart. Whatever I have spoken now about atmospheric pressure, positive gauge pressure, negative gauge pressure is nothing but vacuum pressure and absolute pressure. All those things I will indicate them on a chart, which becomes a ready reckoner for understanding the types of pressure. Now, I have told you that, say for example, atmospheric pressure is 101.3. Below that also you have pressure, above that also you have pressure. So, what I will do is, I will first draw a line representing atmospheric pressure. I will only write ATM to represent atmospheric, PR to represent pressure. So, if this is the atmospheric pressure, consider a point below that. Say that point is A. The pressure below atmospheric pressure is nothing but negative gauge pressure, and it is nothing but vacuum pressure. So, from here to here it is nothing but negative gauge pressure or vacuum pressure at A. But I have told you that you can keep moving up to a point where you reach absolute zero or complete vacuum. So this point I'll write as complete vacuum or absolute zero. Absolute zero. When you measure the pressure at point A from the absolute zero, then you will call that as absolute pressure. Absolute pressure again at A. Now if you have followed what I have just told you, you would now understand there is atmosphere surrounding us, and whatever is the pressure generated by atmospheric air on us is nothing but atmospheric pressure. Whatever is below that pressure is called negative gauge pressure or vacuum pressure. The same can also be measured from the absolute zero or complete vacuum, and that is called absolute pressure at that point. Then what do we have above it? Say I have considered a point B somewhere here. If I measure the pressure from atmospheric pressure, that pressure has to be termed as positive gauge pressure at B. You have kept this as the datum. So this atmospheric pressure is also called gauge zero. Why I term this as gauge zero is the instruments other than barometer, all pressure measuring instruments other than barometer considers atmospheric pressure as zero, and that is the reason why atmospheric pressure is also called gauge zero. When you measure the pressure from gauge zero, the positive pressure is nothing but called positive gauge pressure, and the negative pressure is called negative gauge pressure or vacuum pressure. Very similar to how I have calculated the pressure at A from the absolute zero, pressure at B can also be measured from absolute zero, and that is nothing but called absolute pressure at B starting from this point, absolute zero. Now usually I will give the example of a multi-storied building. Assume that you are sitting in the first floor now. So below you is the ground floor. Now you look at the top. You will find the roof of your room. What is the height of the roof? This question when posed immediately, what will be your answer? The height of the roof you will measure from the floor where you are sitting. Correct? The floor where you are sitting, treat it as atmospheric pressure or gauge zero. The height of the roof from atmospheric pressure or now the floor where you are sitting, maybe it is 11 or 12 feet or 10 feet, that is measured over the floor. But actual height of the roof, how do you calculate? It has to be calculated from the floor of the ground floor. That is nothing but your absolute zero or complete vacuum. That means if you have a ceiling fan in the ground floor, if you have a ceiling fan in the ground floor that is below the floor of the first floor and above the floor of the ground floor, that is what I have written as A here. I hope you are understanding. Now the point A which is below atmospheric pressure or gauge zero, and hence it is vacuum pressure or negative gauge pressure, but it is definitely above absolute zero, and hence you can also term it as absolute pressure. Now what are the types of pressure you have now completed? There are 4 types of pressures. First one, you have atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure. What is the definition of atmospheric pressure? We are surrounded by atmospheric air. Whatever is the pressure exerted by the atmospheric air per unit area of that object is called atmospheric pressure. Then you have positive gauge pressure. What is positive gauge pressure? Positive gauge pressure. Any pressure that requires a gauge to measure it is called gauge pressure. Now, in a pressure which is measured using a pressure measuring device which is above atmospheric pressure is called positive gauge pressure. Similarly, you have negative gauge pressure or vacuum pressure. What is this? A pressure which requires a measuring instrument to gauge that, which is below the atmospheric pressure, is called negative gauge pressure or vacuum pressure. And ultimately you have absolute pressure. Absolute pressure. What is this absolute pressure? Absolute pressure is nothing but the pressure measured keeping the absolute zero or complete vacuum as the datum or reference. Such pressures are called absolute pressure. Then how do I write the expression for absolute pressure? Absolute pressure, if you want an equation for absolute pressure is equal to, it can either be atmospheric pressure plus positive gauge pressure or atmospheric pressure minus negative gauge pressure, that both of them will fetch you the absolute pressure. So in general, what do we write? Absolute pressure can be written as atmospheric pressure plus or minus what? You observe here, I have written atmospheric pressure plus positive gauge pressure or minus negative gauge pressure. So what I will write? Atmospheric pressure plus or minus gauge pressure. This is the general equation I can give. Absolute pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure plus, if you take plus, it is positive gauge pressure. If you take minus, you will get the negative gauge pressure, but that is nothing but absolute pressure. So in general, absolute pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure plus or minus gauge pressure. Now if you need an exclusive expression for vacuum pressure, now how do I write it? Vacuum pressure is nothing but atmospheric pressure minus absolute pressure. This is how you can keep solving, but if you just remember this, you can solve any problem related to that. Absolute pressure must be equal to atmospheric pressure plus or minus the gauge pressure. So this is the structure of the types of pressures, which I can, there is another pressure about which I will have to tell you, but which I cannot indicate anywhere on this, is nothing but the fifth one. The fifth pressure, vapor pressure. Vapor pressure. It is an interesting topic, that is vapor pressure. Have you ever heard about this vapor pressure? Now, have you ever seen the vapor? If you have tried cooking in the house, probably you would be aware of this. When you are having water kept in a tumbler and you have started to heat it. Now you have kept a plate over the tumbler and you have started to heat it. What actually happens? There is creation of vapor. What happens to that vapor which starts from the water, it reaches the top of the plate that you have kept. What actually happens there is cooling when considered to, in relation with the water, there is cooling. The heat that is generated in the water, when you consider it against the vapor that is accumulated at the plate, that starts to get cooled, and those molecules which are escaping from the water will start getting converted back to molecules of water. Now what happens? Because of the heat, water molecules will start to get converted into molecules of gas, and when it reaches the plate, because of the cooling, all those molecules again starts to get back into molecules of water, gets converted into molecules of water. In this case, in case of vapor pressure, the point where you have the number of molecules escaping from water being equal to the number of molecules returning to water, then such is the point where you call it as where you call it as vapor pressure. That pressure is nothing but vapor pressure. This is the outline of vapor pressure which will help you understand it, and you might have observed the water being boiled even before it reaches 100 degrees. The reason is the vapor pressure concept. Now in Himalayas, wherein the temperature is too low, you can find places wherein water is being boiled. The reason is nothing but this pressure. So I hope this content will help you in understanding the concepts of water getting boiled even without getting heated. That is again because of the pressure, vapor pressure concept. Next, we had discussed a few things about pressure and its measurement. Basically, we had learnt about hydrostatic law, Pascal's law, and indication of different types of pressure on a single chart. For the proper understanding of hydrostatic law as well as Pascal's law, we will have to solve a few numerical problems in support of those laws. So take the first problem. A hydraulic press has a ram diameter of 12.5 centimeter and a plunger of diameter 1.25 centimeter. Full stop. What force is required on the plunger to raise a weight of 10 kilonewton on the ram? To raise a weight of 10 kilonewton on the ram. Look, this is a problem that helps us substantiate what we have learned through Pascal's law. What does Pascal's law state? It states that pressure at a point in all the directions are equal. That's what we have learned through Pascal's law. Now we have an example to prove that. You have been given a ram and a plunger. It is a hydraulic press. I will show you how hydraulic press looks, and in that hydraulic press you have 12.5 centimeter diameter plunger and 1.25 centimeter, ram of 12.5 centimeter diameter and plunger of diameter 1.25 centimeter, and force on the plunger is given, and what should be the what weight can it lift from the ram is the question. I will first draw it so that you can understand. So 1.25 centimeter is the plunger, and you have 12.5 centimeter ram. So I will write this as plunger and this as ram. This entire structure is called hydraulic press, and it is filled with say a fluid. So according to Pascal's law, in a static fluid, the pressure in all the directions at a point must be same. Now both the ends, one end is having ram, the other end is having the plunger. So on the plunge it says the ram of diameter 12.5 centimeter. So I will write this as 12.5 centimeter and the plunger of diameter 1.25 centimeter. So now on the force it requires on the plunger to raise a weight of 10 kilonewton on the ram. So on the ram you have 10 kilonewton. So to lift this, so what is the force that is required on the plunger? Since the pressure at all the points are equal in the static fluid, if you apply a force here, that should be able to lift this. So what is that force actually? We know that pressure is nothing but force divided by area. This is the basic thing that we require today for this problem to be solved. Pressure must be equal to force by area. So why is this required now? Now you have been given the diameters of the ram and plunger, using which you can calculate their areas, and force on ram is to be calculated. I will read out the problem once again. What force is required on the plunger to raise a weight of 10 kilonewton on the ram? So now you have 10 kilonewton on the ram. To lift this, what is the force required on the plunger is the question. So now according to Pascal's law, the pressure on ram must be equal to pressure on plunger. So I will write that. We know that pressure on plunger must be equal to pressure on ram. When I write this, what is pressure on plunger? It is force on plunger divided by area of plunger. This must be equal to force on ram divided by area of ram. What was the question? You will have to find out what force is required on the plunger. That means FP. This needs to be calculated. Do we know the rest of the things? Yes, of course. Area of plunger can be calculated because diameter of the plunger is given. Area of the ram can be calculated because diameter of the ram is given. FR, that means force on the ram, that is given to be 10 kilonewton. So using this, you can easily solve the problem and also prove to yourselves the definition of Pascal's law. Now how do I calculate area? Area of plunger is equal to pi by 4 diameter square, diameter of plunger. So can you please take out the calculator, Professor Manjunath, and help me out? So it is pi by 4 into diameter of plunger. What is diameter of plunger? It is given to be 1.25 centimeter. Centi is nothing but 10 power minus 2. 1.25 into 10 power minus 2 whole square. So area of plunger comes out to be how much? If you can solve it, or otherwise I can straight away take it like that only. Area of plunger, I will write this, and I can easily, similarly area of ram can be written as pi by 4 into 12.5 into 10 power minus 2 square, and therefore the equation turns out to be force on plunger, which is the question that we required to be answered. Force on plunger divided by pi by 4 into 1.25 into 10 power minus 2 square. This is the area of plunger. This must be equal to FR. Force on ram is given to be 10 kilonewton. Kilo is nothing but 10 power 3. 10 into 10 power 3 divided by pi by 4 into 12.5 into 10 power minus 2 square. Solving everything, you will get force on plunger to be equal to 100 Newton. Very important problem in understanding the concept. See, what actually has changed in this hydraulic press? If you apply just 100 Newton of force on plunger, it can lift 10 kilonewton on the ram. Why is that? Because the volume of the liquid in the hydraulic press has not changed. If the volume has not changed and if you start applying the pressure has to be equal in all the directions. So the same pressure will be applicable to the other side also. That is the reason why I have taken pressure on plunger must be equal to pressure on ram. Using the concept, you can easily find out that force on plunger required to raise 100 kilonewton, 10 kilonewton on the ram is only 100 Newton. Take the next problem. A hydraulic press has a ram of 20 centimeter diameter, and plunger of 3 centimeter diameter, full stop. It is used for lifting a weight of 30 kilonewton, full stop. Find the force required on the plunger. You will have to solve this problem I will only give you the hints. Now you have the same hydraulic press. Instead of the dimensions given in the previous problem, different dimensions are given, different loading pattern is given. With the same concept, you can find out what is the force required. Next problem, calculate pressure due to a column of, calculate the pressure due to a column of 0.3 meter of, 0.3 meter of, first one water, second one oil of specific gravity 0.8, oil of specific gravity 0.8, third one mercury. Look, the simple problems that we solve in this class may not appear in your examination, but these problems that we are supposed to solve now in today's class forms the extreme hard foundation for the learnings in future. See, what is the two problems that we have just solved focused on no, the two problems that we solved right now focused on Pascal's law, whereas the problems that we will be solving now will focus on hydrostatic law. What is the statement of hydrostatic law? It states that the increase in pressure when we go in vertically downward direction is equal to the specific weight at that point. That means there are two things to be understood. Once we go deeper, there is always increment in pressure. That means pressure increases with depth. That is one point. The other point is at any given point it depends on the specific weight of the liquid. In that backdrop, if you read the problem that we are supposed to solve now, you will understand a lot of things. And also one very important thing, when we solved hydrostatic law, we just did not end at the hydrostatic law, but we extended it to learn what do we mean by head or pressure head. And you must also note that any pressure can be kept in terms of head of water. Very, very important in solving the problems related to pressure measurement that we are about to learn in future classes. I repeat this point, we can express the pressure in terms of head of water. That means to say pressure created by mercury can be put in terms of head of water. Pressure created by an oil can be put in terms of head of water. This will help you a big deal when you solve the problems on measurement of pressure. But for the time being, coming back to the problem that I have just dictated, which says that calculate the pressure due to a column of 0.3 meters of water, oil of specific gravity 0.8 and mercury. Just by the sight of the problem, can we find something to ourselves and then start solving the problem? Now he says 0.3 meters of water, and you know that in horizontal direction there is no variation in pressure, that we have already proved. But in vertical direction, as we go deeper, there is variation in pressure. What is a liquid column? Assume that you have a glass of water. You have a glass tube of 0.3 meters and you fill water into it. What is the pressure created by water at a depth of 0.3 meters? That you will have to calculate. Now what happens if that water is replaced by an oil of specific gravity 0.8? What happens when it is replaced by mercury? So these are the things that you must understand, and then numerical values are just numbers. Now what happens when it is water? Water is having a specific gravity of 1. Oil in this problem given is having a specific gravity of 0.8. If you compare the oil given and the water, which is denser? By the knowledge of specific gravity, we can easily say that water is much denser here. What is 1? Specific gravity of water is 1. What does that mean? It is 1000 kg per meter cube. Specific gravity of oil is given to be 0.8. What does that mean? It is 800 kg per meter cube. In 1 meter cube of volume, water can be 1000 kgs of water can be filled, whereas in same 1 meter cube space only 800 kg of this oil can be filled. That means its density is less. Now, when these two liquids are kept in 0.3 meter height columns, what actually happens? Now, it is just like I am 5.6 or 5.7 feet, let us say I am 5.7 feet and I am weighing about 80 kilograms. But a person weighing 5.7 height standing next to me weighs only 60, and a person next to me who is again of height 5.7 weigh 100 kgs. How is this possible? It is dependent on the density of that person. Similarly, now when you have a column of liquid for 0.3 meters of water, the pressure created by water is different. Pressure created by oil is different from that of water, and pressure created by mercury is entirely different from the past two. The knowledge that we have gained from the learnings of specific gravity should make us understand which creates more pressure. And by the hydrostatic law, you know that it depends on specific weight. What is specific weight? Specific weight is nothing but rho into G, where rho is nothing but density of the liquid. That means the increase in pressure depends on specific weight. So, water specific weight is more than the specific weight of oil. That means pressure generated by 0.3 meter height of water will be definitely more than the pressure created by the oil of specific gravity 0.8. And when you go to mercury, it is said to be the liquid metal whose specific gravity is 13.6, which will be definitely greater pressure by only the same height of liquid. Now, we will prove it using the numerical values that are given. Now, I will first take water. First case, I will take water. He says a liquid column of 0.3 meters. So, I will take this to be 0.3 meters. So, how do I calculate pressure? What equation do I have to calculate pressure? Pressure is nothing but rho into G into H. Here H is nothing but equal to 0.3 meter. Rho G is nothing but specific weight. So, it is pressure generated because of 0.3 meters of water. So, rho must be rho of water. So, I will rewrite here itself PW is equal to rho W G into HW. Rho W is nothing but 1000 kg per meter cube into G, acceleration due to gravity, which is 9.81, into height of water is 0.3 meters. Using this, you can calculate what is the pressure generated by 0.3 meters of height of water. You take out the calculator and solve these things. I think it will be equal to 23544. No, I think 2943 Newton per meter square. 2943 Newton per meter square, or you can also write it as pascals. 2943 Newton per meter square. When I take the case of oil of specific gravity is 0.8. What should be the value of pressure? By the concept that we have discussed now, the pressure has to be less than this. Why? Because specific weight of the oil is less and the increase in pressure is dependent on its specific weight, and hence we are ready to get an answer that is less than this pressure, and then you will never go wrong with this concept. That is why you will have to first understand the concept and not the values. Now, the same drawing I can use, I will not redraw it, but instead of that, instead of water I will take oil. So, pressure of oil is equal to rho of oil into G into H of oil, that is height. So, how much is density of oil? How do I calculate? You know that density of oil now from the given data, specific gravity is 0.8. What is specific gravity? For this problem, I will do that. Specific gravity of oil is equal to density of oil divided by density of water, because standard liquid is water. So, this is 0.8, specific gravity of oil is 0.8. This must be equal to density of oil. How much is the density of oil? That needs to be calculated, divided by density of water is nothing but 1000. So, that means density of oil is equal to 1000 into 0.8, that is 800 kg per meter cube. I'll straight away use that here. Therefore, pressure of oil is equal to 800 into G 9.81 into height remains 0.3. So, pressure due to oil for a column of height 0.3 meters is nothing but 2354.4 pascals. If you compare the pressure created by water and pressure created by oil, you can easily observe that pressure generated by oil is less when compared to that generated by water. Now, when we move to mercury, the last one, you will definitely see the rise in pressure because it has a specific gravity of 13.6. Subsequently, specific weight will also be higher, and by the virtue of the discussions we had, we will know that the pressure generated by mercury from a height of 0.3 meters will be definitely greater than that of water and oil. So, pressure of mercury must be equal to rho of mercury into G into H of mercury. So, I will not do all these things because you already know it. The specific gravity of mercury is 13.6 into density of standard liquid is 1000. So, 13.6 into 1000 is density of mercury into G is 9.81 into height of mercury is 0.3. So, pressure generated by mercury, which has to be much higher and is equal to 40024.8 40024.8 Newton per meter square or pascals. So, just observe here, when you observe and compare these three problems, this stands at about 40 kilonewton per meter square or 40 kilopascals, whereas these two are about 2 and 3 kilopascals, which proves that the variation of pressure is incremental in the downward direction as well is equal to the specific weight given at that point, the increment. So, this is the clear proof for the hydrostatic law that we derived, and that is why you must just not look into the numerical values, but to the values, not the numerical values. Take the next problem. The pressure intensity at a point in a fluid, is given as 3.924 Newton per centimeter square. Full stop. Find the corresponding height of fluid. When the fluid used is first one water, second one an oil of specific gravity 0.9, As I have told you earlier, these problems may not appear in your examinations, but will help you shape up your knowledge related to the pressure and its measurement. In the previous case, what did we do? We had the height of the column given, and for the same height different liquids were filled, and you found out that for different liquids different pressures are generated from the same height. Now, in this problem he says pressure intensity at a given point is 3.924 Newton per centimeter square. So, intensity of pressure is 3.924 Newton per centimeter square. Centimeter square has to be converted to meter square. So, I will write this as, you already know these conversions, 3.924 into 10 power 4 Newton per meter square. To generate this pressure, he has asked you to use two liquids. So, when you use water, at what depth do you achieve this pressure is first question, and when you use an oil of specific gravity 0.9, When, at what depth do you achieve this pressure? Very, very important concept. Now again, from the basics we will have to first have an answer formed in your minds and then go to the numerical values. Now water is having a specific gravity of 1 and the oil is having a specific gravity of 0.9. So by virtue of its density and specific weight, which is exerting more pressure for a given height? Definitely water. So when you compare the pressure generated by water and pressure generated by liquid, now you have the same pressure to be generated by water and the oil. So which takes more height? It is obviously the oil with specific gravity 0.9 has to have the more height than water because it is having less specific weight. So now once this imagination is formed in your mind, you can easily solve the problem. So I will write here height of water needs to be calculated, that is question number 1, and in question number 2 you will have to calculate what is height of oil given specific gravity of oil is equal to 0.9. So I will take up the first case wherein you have taken water. We know that pressure generated by water must be equal to density of water into G into height of water. So you need to calculate what is height of water, or in other terms it is HW, head of water. HW is equal to PW divided by rho W into G. What is pressure? It is given to be 3.924 into 10 power 4 divided by rho of water is 1000 into G is 9.81. If you are attending competitive exams, you can take 9.81 as 10. This is 10 power 3, this is 10. 10 power 4 and 10 power 4 gets cancelled. You will have the answer as 3.924, slightly more than 3.924 because this is slightly less than 10. You can straight away write the answer which is nearer in the 4 options. But now for the time being you will have to calculate what is the height of water that generates a pressure equal to 3.924 into 10 power 4 pascals, and that height is nothing but 4 meters. And moving on to the second case. So what is the second case? Second case is oil of specific gravity 0.9. Once the oil is of specific gravity 0.9, immediately you can write density of oil to be equal to specific gravity of oil into density of standard liquid, that is 1000. 1000 into 0.9, nothing but 900 kg per meter cube. Now we know that pressure generated by oil must be equal to density of oil into G into height of oil. So pressure generated by oil is already known. What we actually need is height of the oil. This must be equal to pressure of oil 3.924 into 10 power 4 divided by density of oil is 900 kg per meter cube into G is 9.81. HO should be greater than HW because the density is less, or in other words specific weight is also less, and it comes out to be 4.44 meters. 4.44 meters. From these two answers you will also understand pressure generated by any liquid can be kept in terms of head of water. So even in any problem in future, if the pressure generated by a liquid other than water is given, how do we convert that into head of water can also be learnt from here. Next problem. An oil of specific gravity 0.9. An oil of specific gravity 0.9 is contained in a vessel. Is contained in a vessel. Full stop. At a point, comma, the height of oil is 40 meters. Height of oil is 40 meters. Full stop. Find the corresponding height of water. find the corresponding height of water at that point. Okay, in this problem, if you observe, given that pressure generated by oil needs to be first calculated. Why? Because if you get the pressure generated by oil, then using the same pressure as pressure to be generated by water, you can find the corresponding height of water. But what is given here, height of oil is given as, if I am not wrong, 40 meters. To generate this, the pressure generated by height of oil of 40 meters, which is having a specific gravity of 0.9, what is the corresponding height of water? If you properly analyze this, the height required to generate the pressure created by oil of specific gravity 0.9, whether the height of water required is more or less, this has to be first understood. I repeat, height of oil is 40 meters, so that would create certain pressure. The same pressure has to be now created by water. Water is having a specific gravity higher than the oil. That means the same pressure is created by less height of water. That means height of water must be less than height of oil here. That we will also prove that when we end this problem. We know that pressure of oil is equal to rho of oil into G into H of oil. Now, what is rho of oil? Specific gravity is given to be 0.9, that means 0.9 into 1000, where 1000 is density of standard liquid, that is water, multiplied by G is 9.81 into height of oil given to you is 40 meters. So, pressure created by oil for a height of 40 meters is nothing but 353160, 353160 Newton per meter square or pascals. Now, you will have to generate this pressure using water. As I have already told you, since the specific gravity of water is greater than the given oil, it requires less height to create this pressure. We will check that. Now, pressure of water must be equal to density of water into G into height of water. Pressure remains same, 353160 is equal to density of water 1000 into G is 9.81 into HW, this is what is required. So, HW is equal to, I think you will end up getting 36 meters. So, it proves that since the specific gravity of water is greater than the liquid given, it requires less height to generate the same pressure generated by 40 meters of oil. Take the next problem. An open tank contains water up to a depth of, an open tank contains water up to a depth of 2 meter and above it is an oil of specific gravity, and above it is an oil of specific gravity 0.9 for a depth of 4 meters. Full stop. Find the pressure intensity at first one, the interface of two liquids, second one, at the bottom of the tank. Okay, if you observe this problem, instead of column of liquid, he has mentioned that you have a tank, and in the tank you have two different liquids. If I am not wrong, the liquid at the bottom, water up to a depth of 2 meters and above it is an oil of specific gravity 0.9 for a height of 4 meters. Now, I will draw a tank which will help you in understanding. So, I will take a tank. For the first 2 meters, you have water filled up. So, this is nothing but water, and this is for a height of 2 meters, and For the next 4 meters, you have an oil. So, oil of specific gravity 0.9 for a height of 4 meters. Now, this is a different problem from the previous ones because he has asked you to find out pressure at the interface. What do you mean by interface? Where two liquids, two immiscible liquids meet is the point where we call it as interface, and also you will have to calculate at the bottom. So, I will call this as pressure at interface Pi and pressure at the bottom as Pb. You will have to calculate first pressure at interface and then pressure at the bottom. Now, what do we know from the hydrostatic law? The pressure increases with the depth. Also, it is equal to the specific weight at that point. Now, if you count the pressure at the interface, it is solely because of the pressure generated by oil of specific gravity 0.9. But when you come to the bottom of the container, you have pressure being generated by 2 meters of water. In addition to that, you have the pressure generated because of 4 meters of oil. So, you will have to first solve for pressure at interface, add that pressure at interface to the pressure created exclusively by water, you will get the pressure at the bottom because it keeps on increasing. That is why addition. Now, how do I solve it? No, pressure at intensity from the figure, pressure at the interface is equal to rho of what? At the up to interface you only have oil of specific gravity, so rho of oil into G into H of oil. So, what is this rho of oil? 0.9 is the specific gravity, so 0.9 into 1000 kg per meter cube into G is 9.81 into height is for 4 meters. So, pressure at the interface must be equal to 35316 Newton per meter square, 35316 Newton per meter square, or you can also call it as Pascal. Now, what is the pressure at the bottom? Pressure at the bottom, now I will write this as pressure at the bottom is nothing but pressure at the interface plus pressure exclusively because of water. So, this is nothing but Pi plus rho W G H W. So, pressure at B is nothing but 35316 plus rho of water is 1000 kg per meter cube into G is 9.81, height is for 2 meters. Ultimately, total pressure at the bottom, you please calculate from your calculator. I will write the answer that we have already calculated. It is 54936 Newton per meter square. We will solve one more problem on this genre and then wind up this class. Take the next problem. What are gauge pressure? What are gauge pressure and absolute pressure? What are gauge pressure and absolute pressure at a point 3 meter below the free surface of 3 meter below the free surface of a liquid having density 1.53 into 10 power 3 1.53 into 10 power 3 kg per meter cube if the atmospheric pressure is equal to 750 millimeter of mercury question mark. So, we have solved problems on Pascal's law and hydrostatic law. In the previous class, we had also discussed about indication of different types of pressure on a single chart. Now this problem helps you in better understanding that chart, or in other terms, if you have already understood the chart, this problem should be very easy to be solved now. But the terminologies used in the problem now should be familiarized to you. Basically, he wants you to calculate gauge pressure and absolute pressure. First, you will have to know what is absolute pressure and gauge pressure. What is absolute pressure? The pressure measured using the absolute zero or complete vacuum as reference is called absolute pressure. That is, I had given you the example of multi-storied building. The place where I am standing is in the second floor. What is the height of the floor? It is, if you measure it from the ground level, then it becomes the total height. That is nothing but here in this case absolute pressure, that is measuring from the absolute zero or complete vacuum. And then you will also have to calculate gauge pressure. Gauge pressure requires an instrument to measure the pressure, and it takes atmospheric pressure as the reference, and that is the reason why he has given you the atmospheric pressure. But instead of giving you the atmospheric pressure directly, he says it is 750 millimeter of mercury. I have told you, you must remember that pressure can be kept in terms of head. Now pressure is kept in terms of what? It is now kept in terms of head of mercury. You will have to convert the head of mercury into pressure, using which you will get the atmospheric pressure. That becomes the datum or the gauge zero, and that becomes the reference on which you will have to measure the gauge pressure. Where do you need to measure it? So 3 meter below the free surface. You will have to have a drawing for this. Below the free liquid surface, you will have to go to a depth of 3 meters, which is a liquid of density 1.53 into 10 power 3 kg per meter cube. In such a liquid, and you have the depth being 3 meters below the free liquid surface, you will have to calculate the pressure first. So you will have the gauge pressure, and then using that you will have to calculate absolute pressure. What is absolute pressure? Absolute pressure is nothing but atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure in case of positive gauge pressure. If you remember what I had written at the end of that class, the gauge pressure or the absolute pressure is nothing but atmospheric pressure plus or minus gauge pressure. If it is positive gauge pressure, it is atmospheric pressure plus the gauge pressure. Now whatever we calculate is the gauge pressure, and when you add it to the atmospheric pressure, you will get the absolute pressure. If you have got the outline of the problem that we are going to solve, it becomes easier. Now I will draw an image of the pictorial representation of what he has given in the problem. Let us assume this to be free liquid surface. Now you have a liquid of density, let us say an oil is 1.53 into 10 power 3 kg per meter cube. This is the liquid you have. When you consider this at a point, say 3 meter, H of oil is 3 meter below the free liquid surface, you will have to calculate the gauge pressure here as well as the absolute pressure. How do I calculate the gauge pressure? It is using the equation P is equal to rho into G into H. Once you get that and you add it to atmospheric pressure, you will get the absolute pressure also. So from the figure, if you calculate, we know that pressure generated by oil must be equal to density of oil into G into height of oil. Density of oil, how much? He straight away has given it to be 1.53 into 10 power 3 kg per meter cube, multiplied by G is 9.81, height is 3 meters. You can easily get what is the pressure generated by that oil. So pressure generated by oil is 45027.9, 45027.9 Newton per meter square. You can easily write the unit because everything you have kept in SI. So this also happens to be gauge pressure. This is nothing but your gauge pressure. Now you need to calculate absolute pressure. Since the answer you have achieved is in terms of positive, you can finalize this to be the positive gauge pressure. Now we know that absolute pressure or P absolute is equal to P atmospheric plus P gauge. P gauge you have calculated. Now you will have to calculate P atmospheric, but given that P atmospheric is equal to 750 millimeter of mercury. So he has kept pressure in terms of head. How do I convert head into pressure? But P is equal to rho into G into H. So that is nothing but rho. How much is this? How do I calculate? This is mercury. Mercury means 13.6 into 1000 will be the density. So I will write this as P mercury, rho of mercury, H of mercury, which will ease the pressure on you. 13.6 into 1000 into G is 9.81 into height of mercury is 750 millimeter, nothing but 750 into 10 power minus 3. So this is nothing but your pressure atmospheric or pressure due to mercury. Therefore, when you go for P absolute, this must be P atmospheric plus P gauge that you have already calculated. The final answer will be, or if you want the separate answer, that is to be 1,000,062. 1,000,062 point or 1,000,062 Newton per meter square. That is nothing but 100.06 pascals. Now, if you kilopascals, I am sorry. Now, when you add them, you will be getting the final answer as 145089. 145089.9 pascals or Newton per meter square. This is the absolute pressure. So these are the problems that I wanted to solve in this class, which threw light on all the basic concepts we learnt about pressure, that is Pascal's law, hydrostatic law, and the indication of different types of pressure on a single chart. Hope this was useful, and we will wind up this class at this moment. Thank you.